I still remember the exact sound his voice made when he snapped at me, like a door slamming in my chest. "Go ahead," he said, leaning back as if bored. "Walk away. See if you survive a week without this family." I didn't argue. I didn't even look up. I just set the house keys, his house keys, on the marble counter he bragged about for years. The clang echoed louder than his threat. He smirked, thinking he'd won. But I walked out of that house with a silence that should have terrified him. It didn't. Not yet. Back then, he wasn't always a tyrant. There was a time when he taught me how to ride a bike, how to fix a leaking pipe, how to always keep my head high. Funny how he forgot his own advice the moment I started standing up to him. Growing up, I carried hope like a fragile glass in my palms. I believed I mattered. I believed he cared. But the moment I turned 18 and started making choices he didn't approve of, the mask slipped. Criticism became routine, mockery became casual, and slowly he started shaping me into something small enough to fit under his thumb. I only realized it when the thumb pressed harder. The betrayal. It wasn't one moment, it was hundreds. The way he'd talk about me to relatives like I was a failed investment. The way he'd dismiss my successes, inflate my mistakes, chip away at my confidence as if breaking me was a hobby. But the real betrayal? The night I overheard him telling my mother, "Let her go. She'll come crawling back. She's nothing without us." It wasn't the words that broke me. It was the cold certainty in his voice, like he'd already calculated my ruin. That night, something inside me snapped into place, clean, silent, decisive. I didn't cry. I planned. The shift. People assume revenge is loud. Mine wasn't. I spent weeks observing his patterns. How he ran everything through the joint family accounts. How every car, every property, every business transaction had my mother's name quietly intertwined. How he bragged about having full control while ignoring the details that actually mattered. He thought power meant raising his voice. I knew power meant reading the fine print. So I studied, took copies, documented inaccuracies, tracked financial dependencies, and most importantly, I listened, really listened, to my mother's anxious whispers about the mortgage he never mentioned, the bank calls he muted, the boss he swore he didn't answer to. By the time he challenged me to walk away, I already knew the truth. I didn't need to survive a week without the family. He needed me to survive the month. The plan. The moment I stepped out, I made 2 calls. One to his boss, sending a concerned family member's request for a review of suspicious account activity I had stumbled across. The second to the bank, requesting clarification about the mortgage renewal my father conveniently forgot to file. Both calls were polite. Both were anonymous. Both were devastating. And then I waited. The next day, at 7:43 a.m., my mother called. Then again at 7:45, then non-stop until noon. Her voice was frantic in each voicemail. "What did you do? The bank is asking questions. Your father is furious. He said to bring you home immediately." By 3 p.m., his boss was calling her non-stop. By 4 p.m., they were both outside my new place, shouting through the gate, demanding I talk. I didn't. I just watched from the window as the man who said I wouldn't survive a week struggled to survive a day without the stability I had quietly been holding together for years. The confrontation? I finally let him in on the 3rd day. He stormed in, red-faced, barking accusations, but stopped when he saw me sitting calmly on the couch. "You pushed something you can't fix," he said. "No," I replied. "I just stepped out of the way and let everything you built on lies collapse on its own." He froze. I placed a folder on the table, printed bank notices, flagged discrepancies, the request for financial review. "Do you know what your boss asked me?" I continued. "What exactly did you push her into doing?" His hands trembled. That was my victory. Not the downfall, the realization. For the first time in my life, he saw me not as someone he could break, but someone who chose not to break. Resolution. I didn't scream, I didn't gloat, I simply stood. I survived the week, I said, opening the door for him. You're the one who didn't. The look he gave me wasn't anger. It was fear. Pure, quiet fear. And as he walked out, shoulders heavy, pride shattered, I felt something I'd never felt before. Freedom. Not because I destroyed him, but because I finally stopped letting him destroy me.